Snow hammered the windows of Murphy's diner when Emma Rodriguez froze mid-step. The bell above the door crashed open, and a man in a soaked designer coat stumbled inside, cursing under his breath. "Is this place even open?" he barked, shaking off Snow like he owned the room. Before Emma could answer, 14 more men in expensive suits crowded in behind him, lost, frustrated, and looking at her as if she owed them something. Emma set the coffee pot down, voice steady despite the long shift draining her. "You can come in, but don't talk to me like that." The first man lifted his head, surprised. People like him weren't used to being challenged here, not by a waitress fighting to keep her life from falling apart. And none of them knew that in a few hours, this tiny diner would become the center of a storm far bigger than the one outside. Stay with us, and hit subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales, because what happens next will stay with you long after the snow melts. The heat lamps above the counter flickered as Emma steadied her breath. The storm outside roared like it wanted to tear the walls off the diner, but it was nothing compared to the tension gathering inside. The first man, tall, sharp jaw, expensive coat dripping onto the tiles, glanced around with the restless irritation of someone who wasn't used to waiting for anything, let alone kindness. Behind him, the others crowded in, stamping snow off polished shoes that had never touched a small-town floor before. Their voices overlapped, frustrated, clipped, demanding. "Can't believe we're stuck here. This is ridiculous. Where's the nearest hotel?" A few looked at Emma the way people looked at a cashier who took too long, like she was part of the problem instead of the person trying to help. But one voice rose above the others, deeper, angrier, and carrying the kind of arrogance that came from a lifetime of never being told no. "We're not staying in this dump." The man said it loud enough to rattle the napkin dispensers. Emma turned toward him slowly. He was slightly older than the rest, with frost clinging to his eyebrows and a diamond watch peeking beneath his sleeve. His glare was fixed on her like she was responsible for the weather itself. She didn't blink. "The storm doesn't care how expensive your watch is, sir. It's shutting down the whole region." A few of the men exchanged looks, some surprised, some amused, but the arrogant one didn't flinch. He stepped forward until he stood directly in front of Emma. "You don't talk to me like that." His tone cut through the air. Emma felt a familiar burn rise in her chest. Not anger, but the memory of every time someone with power assumed she was powerless. "Not today. I talk to everyone with respect," she replied, voice even, steady. "And I expect the same back." The man scoffed, leaning in as if proximity might intimidate her. "Do you even know who I am?" Before Emma could respond, another billionaire, a younger one with a calmer demeanor, spoke up from behind him. "Marcus, knock it off." So arrogant man had a name. Marcus spun around. "Don't tell me what to." The door slammed shut behind the last billionaire who entered, and the noise startled them all. The wind howled, shaking the frame. Snow blasted against the glass hard enough that even Marcus flinched. Murphy peeked from behind the pass window. "Looks like you're all stuck for the night whether you like it or not." "We're not staying here," Marcus repeated. "I'll pay whatever it costs to get someone to drive us out." "Roads are closed," Emma said. "Nothing moves tonight." Marcus ignored her, pulling out his phone. No signal. Then he tried again. Still no signal. A flicker of fear crossed his face before he concealed it behind a scowl. Emma sighed, wiped her hands on her apron, and walked toward the coffee station. "I'm making a fresh pot. Anyone who wants some can sit down." A handful of the men hesitated. Then a few sat. And more. Marcus stood rooted in place, jaw clenched. The younger billionaire motioned toward an empty chair. "Come on, man." Marcus didn't move. Emma placed a steaming cup in front of one of the quieter men, a silver-haired gentleman with tired eyes. "Here you go." He looked up, startled by the warmth of her voice. "Thank you." "Really?" Emma nodded, offering him a small smile. That tiny human moment, simple, honest, unforced, shifted the energy in the room just slightly. But Marcus wasn't done. He slammed his palm onto the counter. We're not sitting here like refugees. Someone is coming to get me out of. The lights flickered violently. A low electrical hum pulsed through the diner. Darkness. Total, suffocating darkness except for the glow of Emma's phone screen. Few men cursed. Chairs scrape. Someone knocked over a glass. Emma's hands steadied automatically, remembering nights when the diner's old circuits struggled during storms. It's just the grid, she said. Backup generator will kick in soon. Murphy emerged with a flashlight. Sit tight, folks. But Marcus wasn't listening. In the shadows, his voice turned sharper, louder. This is insane. We're billionaires, not. Emma's flashlight beam moved toward him. Money doesn't stop storms, she said. Sit down before someone gets hurt. Don't tell me what to do. He lunged forward, not violently, but fast enough that chairs rattled and several men jumped back. The younger billionaire stepped between them. Marcus. Down. Marcus froze, breath ragged, anger spilling out of him like poison. The generator hummed. Lights returned. Warmth flickered back into the diner. But the room had changed. Everyone could see Marcus clearly now. Wet, angry, shaking slightly, no longer the man in control. Emma didn't gloat. Her voice softened, not with pity but with tired truth. You're scared, she said quietly. And that's fine. But don't take it out on me. A wave of silence swept through the diner. Marcus's jaw worked but no sound came out. He turned away, gripping the back of a chair so tightly his knuckles whitened. For the first time he looked small. The others settled into their seats, tension slowly melting into weary acceptance. Emma poured more coffee, moving table to table. Her hands were steady, but her thoughts raced. She had dealt with rude customers before. But the imbalance of power here, 15 wealthy, frustrated men trapped with a waitress, could shift dangerously if tempers rose again. And it did. Hours passed. They ate whatever was left. Chili sandwiches, pie crust scraps, reheated soup Murphy found in the freezer. Most of the billionaires relaxed, sharing stories they usually reserved for boardrooms or private jets. The younger one, who introduced himself as Daniel, helped pick up fallen napkins and even offered to refill someone's cup. But Marcus simmered. He glared every time Emma walked by. He muttered insults under his breath. He tried to rally others into complaining, but no one wanted to follow. Not because they liked being stuck, but because Emma's quiet strength made Marcus look ridiculous. At one point he approached Murphy. We need real food. And decent beds. And we have what we have, Murphy said. If you want better, find a way through that storm. Muffled laughter broke out at surrounding tables. Marcus stormed away, face flushed. Daniel leaned toward Emma. Sorry about him. He thinks the world bends for him. Emma shrugged. Everyone thinks that until the world proves otherwise. Daniel smiled at that. And somehow, in the simplest way, the night shifted again. Tension dipped, then surged right back. Because just past 2 a.m., as Emma was handing out blankets, Marcus made his move. He snatched the blanket from her hands and sneered. You're loving this, aren't you? Feeling powerful for once. Emma stared at him, expression unreadable. No, I just want everyone safe. Liar. He stepped closer. Women like you pretend to be helpful, but deep down you enjoy making people like me crawl. Daniel stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. That's enough. Marcus laughed bitterly. You defending your new little friend. She's playing you. Playing all of us. Emma didn't raise her voice. She didn't back away. Marcus, she said. Sit down. He didn't. Instead, in a moment that stunned the entire diner, Marcus slapped the blanket out of her hands and snarled. You're nothing but a waitress. The room froze. Forks paused midair. Conversations died instantly. Emma didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She simply picked the blanket off the ground, dusted it off and said quietly, And tonight, I'm the waitress keeping you alive. The line hit the room like an earthquake. Daniel exhaled sharply. You owe her an apology. Marcus scoffed, but his bravado was fading. For what? Telling the truth. Before Daniel could react, another billionaire, a tall man with an Oxford accent, stepped in. You should apologize because you're humiliating yourself, he said coldly. We're all tired. Or cold. But she's doing more for us than your money ever could. Several others murmured in agreement. Marcus's eyes darted around, realizing, slowly, painfully, that he no longer had an audience. He had lost the room. And Emma, without raising her voice once, had won it. He tried to recover. You're all pathetic. A loud crack cut him off. The front window shook violently as a massive gust slammed into it. Murphy cursed. Storm's shifting. This one's going to be ugly. Emma turned toward the door, instinctively checking the lock, the insulation, the generator cables. And that's when it happened. Another crash. Louder. Closer. A tree branch snapped and slammed into the roof above them, making everyone jump. Marcus stumbled back, terrified, grabbing the nearest table. Emma steadied herself, heart pounding. We need to move to the back of the diner. It's safer. Most of the men obeyed immediately. Marcus didn't. Of course he didn't. We're not hiding in some storage room like animals, he yelled. Emma snapped. Not out of rage. Out of necessity. She marched right up to him, pointing toward the back. You can either move or you can stay out here alone. But I'm not risking 15 lives because your ego doesn't fit in a safer room. Marcus froze. For the first time all night, someone had talked to him like that and meant every word. The British billionaire spoke again. She's right. Move. Finally, slowly, Marcus followed the group. They huddled together in the back storage room where the walls were thicker and the ceiling reinforced. Emma did another head count, breath fogging in the cold air. Marcus muttered, "This is insane." Emma turned to him. "It's survival." Hours passed. Fear softened the arrogance in most of the men, even in Marcus, though he tried to hide it behind restless pacing. At one point his voice cracked. I can't stay here. I need space." Emma looked at him carefully. "You're not trapped," she said. "You're sheltered." He stared at her, chest rising and falling too fast. And something inside him, something brittle, finally broke. "I don't do Helpless," he whispered. Emma softened. "No one does. But pretending you're not scared won't make the storm go away." Marcus said nothing. But for the first time, he listened. Eventually, dawn crept in, pale and gray. The storm passed. The roads cleared. The billionaires prepared to leave. Exhausted, humbled, changed. All except Marcus. He asked to speak with Emma privately. She hesitated but agreed. He stood near the counter where he had insulted her, hands trembling slightly. "I acted like a fool," he muttered. "More than a fool. And I'm sorry." Emma studied him. "Are you apologizing because you mean it? Or because everyone saw you lose control?" Marcus swallowed. Both. She appreciated the honesty. But she didn't offer instant forgiveness. "Storms show who people really are," she said. "Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's a wake-up call." He nodded slowly. "I deserved that. And the blanket," Emma added. "Pick it up next time." A surprised breath escaped him. Half a laugh, half relief. Daniel approached from behind. "Cars are here." Marcus turned to leave. But 3 uniformed officers stepped through the door. "Marcus Coldwell?" one asked. He stiffened. "What is this?" The lead officer stepped forward. "You're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, and falsifying federal contracts. We've been trying to reach you for days. Your company finally provided your location." Gasps filled the diner. Marcus staggered back. This is a mistake." But no one rushed to defend him. Not this time. Not after the storm. Handcuffs clicked. He looked at Emma, eyes wide, broken. She didn't gloat. She simply nodded once. "You'll get through it," she said quietly. "But you'll have to do it the right way." Marcus lowered his head as he was led out. The door shut behind him. The diner fell silent. Daniel exhaled. Well, that's one hell of a night. Emma finally allowed herself to breathe. Murphy clapped her shoulder. You handled him better than any storm we've ever had. Emma smiled faintly. She turned toward the camera of the YouTube storytelling video, and the narrator's voice rose softly. But that wasn't the end of Marcus Coldwell's reckoning. What happened after this storm shocked the entire nation. When the officer's car finally pulled away, the diner fell into a quiet that felt heavier than the storm itself. Emma stood by the window, watching the taillights fade into the pale morning. She didn't feel triumphant. She felt steady, like someone who had carried her own weight for a long time and had just realized she could carry even more. Murphy approached, placing a warm mug in her hands. You handled him with more grace than he deserved, he said. Emma gave a small smile. People show who they are when the world stops protecting them. Daniel stepped closer, hands in his pockets, genuine concern replacing the tension of the night before. You know, not many people could have held a room together the way you did. I just did what needed to be done, she replied, though her voice softened. Maybe that's the real strength we forget we have. The morning light crept across the diner floor, touching the scattered blankets and half-empty cups, the quiet evidence of a night no one expected, yet no one would forget. Outside, the storm had passed. Inside, something in Emma had shifted too. Not louder, not harder, just clearer. She looked out at the calm sky. Truth has its own timing, she murmured. Last night proved that. And with that, the story reached its breath, a reminder that storms end, lies crumble, and courage can come from the most unexpected places. If this touched you, don't leave just yet. Like, share, and help Canada's Heartfelt Tales grow by subscribing. Your support keeps these stories alive.